We're starting standing today. So find yourself on your mat. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Bree, and we're moving through a 40-ish minute flow. A little more structure focused on creating a little engagement around the glutes today. So let's just take a moment to center in. Plant your feet about hip distance apart on the earth and really give yourself space. Hip distance is typically wider than you may naturally give yourself. Think about hip distance being from that outer bony part of your hip straight down to the heel. Extend your fingertips down towards the earth and take a moment to just arrive on your mat. Deepen your breath. And as you breathe, work to breathe into the full of your lungs, chest, sides of the body, back of the body. If it feels okay, you can close your eyelids down. Extend the fingertips down towards the earth as you counterreach the crown of the head up towards the sky. Notice now where the weight is at in your feet. Work to make your weight even from left to right, evenly distributed, but also from front to back. So if you have more weight on your heels, then rock slightly more weight onto the balls of your feet. If you have more weight on the balls of the feet, rock more towards the heels. Let's start by setting the tone of our breath with Earth Sky Pranayama. Press into the earth on your inhale, circle sweep, reach your arms up. And on your exhale, release your arms down by your sides. Very simple exercise. Inhales, bringing you up. Follow the breath or follow the body with that breath. So as your body moves, it's moving just behind your breath, and the breath is kind of igniting the movement. Stay firmly rooted through your feet as you reach your arms towards the sky. And as your arms descend towards the earth, stay plugged into the sky through the crown of the head. Take about 3 or 4 more of these at your own pace. Work to expand from floor to ceiling, but also taking up space from east to west on your shoulders. Next time your arms come up, pause, keep them there. Notice where your pelvis is at in space. Send your thigh bones back ever so slightly, creating what we call an anterior tilt in the pelvis. Pull the low ribs in and reach up long through your thumb and your middle finger. See if reaching up through those fingers allows you to breathe more breath into the back of the body. Observe and notice. Stay plugged in through the big toe mound, through your pinky toe mound, and through the heels. It's like your little tripod of the foot. And keep lengthening long through the sides of your waist, out through the thumb and the middle finger. Begin to join your hands at Anjali Mudra and bring Anjali Mudra all the way down to heart center. Pause for a moment. And close your eyes again if that feels okay. And if you have an intention that you want to set for practice today, I invite you to set that now. Whatever you want to bring forward for your practice and for the rest of your day or the evening to come. Really feel and dig deep. And big inhale, circle sweep, reach your arms up. Exhale, bring it back home to heart center. And take it, bow towards heart center. And lift your skull up. All right, so adding on now, shift your weight towards the left. Feel the weight come onto your left foot and notice where you're holding the weight. If you bow your hip out when you shift your weight, pull your hip in to stay stable through that right hip or left hip. And then shift your weight the other way. This time you're pulling the right hip in. And again, shift it all the way over towards the left, maybe a little subtle bend in the right knee. And shift it over towards the right. Good. As you shift over towards the left, begin to twist the whole of the body over towards the left, hips and rib cage. Your rib cage is going to be able to twist farther than your hips, so just notice where you're at there. And then shift your weight over towards the right. Hips and trunk are coming over towards the right. Again, take it over towards the left and land with the hips being at like a slight angle. If you have your hands on your hips, you can feel what's going on there. Keep your hips exactly where they are and twist your rib basket towards the front of the mat. So towards the right, but the hips are still going towards the left. You're working through thoracic rotation, which is your upper mid-back. Shift your weight over towards the right, bend the left knee, and take a twist over towards the right. All the weight is pretty much on that right foot. I just have my toes of the left foot on the earth. And then from this place, just twist the trunk, the rib cage, over vertebra by vertebra, notch by notch, to center. Take it over, bend into your right knee, and twist towards the left. Keep your rib cage stacked just over the hips. A lot of the times it means it needs to pull back into space. And from here, just bring the trunk of your body forward, keeping your hips towards the left. And ground your right foot, take it over towards the right. So this is a pretty easy warm-up. If you are someone that likes to golf, this is also a really good warm-up for that because you're working on twisting and the hips are actually moving with the rotation here. Bring the trunk back over towards center and back through. So you get that thoracic spine warmed up. All right, now use your hands like little clamps, and the thumb is going to come on like the back of the ribs, and you're holding your rib cage. So the fingers are just under the breasts, and you are going to basically practice breathing into the back of your body. Inhale, breathe into the back. Feel pressure around the full of the hand, particularly the thumb is what you're aiming for. And then exhale, notice how much that rib cage pulls back in. Inhale, notice that expansion as your diaphragm contracts down into the belly. And as you exhale, the diaphragm is ascending as you pull navel to spine. 3 more breaths like that. Work to inflate your lungs evenly. Females have about 70% of lungs living in their posterior chain, which is their back body. And men have about 60% of their lungs in their back body. Either way, that's more than 50% located in the back side of our body. So maybe work during at least this class to breathe more into the places that are unseen. Release. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up and high. Exhale, catch your right wrist, side bend up and over towards the left, side bend. Press into the earth. Inhale, come back through center. Switch your clasp and take that side bend up and over the other way. Inhale, come back through center. And exhale, cactus your arms without jutting the ribs forward. So you might not have a ton of opening here, but that's okay. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, bring your palms or your arms parallel to the earth, palms face down. Now, notice where your weight is out on your feet again. Make it even. I just noticed I was a little back on the ball or the heels of my feet, so I'm rocking slightly more forward to the balls. Send your thigh bones back a touch into space and press like you're pressing like a workout ball down, like one of those big exercise resistance balls. Notice if that helps pull the front of your body in and back into space. Inhale, start to reach your arms all the way up and high. Exhale, bring your palms to heart center. From here, bring your fist to press into your hand. Doesn't matter which one. Press your fist into your hand, and as you do this, Let your collarbones spread wide from east to west. So you're trying to take up space laterally from side to side. Can you access your back body breathing here? The more that you breathe into the back of the body, the more it actually is moving your shoulders. It's even moving part of the psoas, the hip flexors. And so one of the most efficient ways to open up the shoulders is really just to breathe a deeper breath. Last cycle here. Make it the biggest breath you've breathed into the back body so far. And release. Bring your stance to the front of the mat if it's not already there. Make your feet 1.5 to 2 times hip distance. So for me, it's almost mat distance apart. Inhale, reach your arms high. Keep those ribs pulled in. Exhale, come to it. I'm going to call a camper squat today. So your elbows are resting on your thighs. Right now, there's a little bit of rounding in my back, and that's normal, but we're going to try to take that out. Press your feet down into the ground nice and strong, specifically the heels. Send your thigh bones back into space and try to kind of remove that rounding or that humpback from the back, and you could reach your hand around and feel it. You should have a nice long spine. If that is hard to obtain, no worries. Just get a little bit higher. Maybe brace your hands on your thighs. Otherwise, forearms on the thighs is good. Take an inhalation. And as you exhale, see if you can blossom the booty back into space just a little more. Keep your ribs intact, in line with those hips. Press into the earth. Inhale, circle sweep, reach up. Exhale, 2 more like that. Squat down. Bring your forearms to the thighs. Send your thigh bones back into space. Broaden through your sit bones. Take an inhalation here. Exhale. Stay. Press into the earth. Inhale, circle sweep, reach up. Exhale, last time like that, camper squat. So a little different than the normal vinyasa, but this is really good for the longevity of the pelvis. Keep sending your thigh bones back into space. Push your feet apart like you're trying to tear that mat in half. Press into the earth. Inhale, circle sweep, reach it high. Exhale, bring the palms to heart center and come down. Ground the forearms on the knees. Inhale, send your thigh bones back. Exhale, ground your hands and step back to a plank position. Press the earth away nice and strong in your plank. Inhale, shift your shoulders past your wrist. Exhale, half push up, always an option to lower the knees. Bring your body to a prone position. Bring one hand forward and the other on top of that. Press your palms into the mat. You're pressing about, 3 to 4 pounds of pressure. And as you press your palms into the ground, pull the pubic symphysis off of the ground and the low belly. Inhale, ground your belly and the hips. Exhale, press your hands and low belly lifts, pubic bone lifts. Inhale, lower. Exhale, low belly lifts, pubic bone lifts. Inhale, release. Just 3 more. Your exhale is pulling your belly in and bringing your pelvis into a posterior tilt just slightly. Inhale, release. Exhale, lift up. It's very subtle. Inhale, lower. Last one like this. Exhale, lift. I guess if you are really strong, you could even lift the nipples off of the mat here. Inhale, ground your stomach. Bring your forearms to the mat. Find a sphinx pose, so elbows just underneath your shoulders. Pull your left heel towards your sit bone. Reach around with your left hand to grab your left foot for a thigh stretch. Stay heavy through your left hip. Find a nice little kick of your foot into your hand as you pull the heel towards your bum. Breathe. Release your foot, second side, pull the opposite heel in, reach your hand around to grab the foot. Come back to your intention that you set for practice again and again, kind of reminding yourself as much as you can throughout the flow. Now begin to release your foot. Bring your elbows forward and bend your elbows, bring your hands to support your face. So you have, or your chin. So you have a little support here. Stay strong through your legs. We're looking to open up the upper back. So walk your elbows forward into space until you feel like you can sense a little bit of a pressure in the upper mid back around where your scapulas are at. Some students need to go even farther with their elbows out into space, so you can try that. Pressing the elbows into the earth may help. But really think about what we did with the hand and the fist. Your collarbone spreading east and west, wide here. Take a few breaths. If you feel you walked your elbows too far forward, you can also come back a little bit more and check it out as you come farther back. You're going to bring your hands by your chest. Inhale, rise up through a cobra pose. It could be low or high. You choose. Cobra tends to go into the low back, so you can always take that one position with the hand on the head with the elbows on the earth we just did instead. Shift your hips up and back, ground your forearms. It's a forearm tabletop. Inhale and puff up into the back body, so find more of a cat spine in your upper back. Spread your forearms away from each other like you're trying to tear the mat apart, but your elbows will stay exactly where they're at. Now, same thing with the knees. Press the knees into the mat, let them spread wide. Untuck through your tailbone, so send your thigh bones up and back. You're creating an anterior tilt in your pelvis, while you simultaneously have a protraction through your shoulder blades, a puffing up, a broadening aspect to the shoulder blades. And keep deepening through your groins. Now tuck your toes if they're not already. Take a peek down. Your feet should be like wider than hip distance apart for this transition. Shift your hips back like you're trying to go to a child's pose with tucked toes. Bring your hands by your knees. Press your way up. Ground your heels. Camper squat. Elbow to the thighs. Inhale, broaden through the sit bones. Blossom the booty. And exhale, stay. Press into the earth. Inhale, circle sweep, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, bring it all the way back home, prayer to heart center. Walk forward on your mat. So we're going to piece that together into a flow now. Feet are about 1.5 to 2 times hip distance. Inhale, reach your arms high. Exhale, squat down, bring your forearms to the thighs. Inhale, broaden through your sit bones, rip your mat in half with the feet. Exhale, bring your hands down, step back, plank. Inhale, shift the shoulders past the wrist. Exhale, half push-up, prone position. One hand forward, the other on top of that. On your exhalation, lift the low belly and the pubic bone off of the mat. Try to unclench the butt. Inhale, ground. Exhale, lift the low belly and pubic symphysis off of the ground. Inhale, ground back to prone. Rise up through a back bend of your choice. Exhale, take it back to a forearm tabletop. Inhale, puff up into your back body. Find protraction. Exhale, send your thigh bones way up and back, getting more of that cow spine in your lower back. Tuck your toes. Your feet should be wider than hip distance. Take it back towards like a tuck toe child's pose. Press your way up, ground your heels. Camper squat. Press down into the earth. Inhale and circle sweep. Reach your arms up. Exhale, bring the palms to heart center and walk your way all the way forward. Inhale, reach up. Here we go again, second round. Lift up through the thumb and the middle finger. Exhale, palms to heart, camper squats. Inhale, send your thigh bones back, blossom your booty back into space. Exhale, bring your hands down, step back, plank. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, half push up. Ground your body, one palm on top of the other. Maybe you switch up the bottom palm. On your exhale, lift the low belly and the pubic bone off of the ground. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower, rise up through a cobra pose or any other back bend that you want. Exhale, take it all the way back, forearm tabletop. Inhale, puff up into the back body. Exhale, send your thigh bones up and back. So a mixture almost between cat and cow. Tuck your toes, send your thigh bones back, your butt back, press into your hands, rise up. Camper squat. Widen through the sit bones. Inhale and circle sweep, reach it high. Exhale, walk forward as the palms come to heart center. This is the last cycle. Hopefully it's starting to feel a little bit more rhythmic. Inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, palms to heart, camper squat. Pause, inhale, send your thigh bones back. Exhale, bring your hands down, step it back, plank. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, half push up, prone. One palm on top of the other. On your exhalation, lift the belly and just the low belly and the pubic bone. Inhale, release. Exhale, little lift. Inhale, release. Bring your hands by your sides. Rise up through cobra. Tug those hands back. Exhale, take it back. Forearm tabletop. Inhale, puff up into your back body. Exhale, send your thigh bones up and back. Tuck the toes, send your hips all the way back. Press into your hands, ground your heels. Camper squat. Press down and up through the legs. Inhale, circle sweep, reach high. Exhale, palms to heart. Step it forward, landing at the front of your mat. Now we're going to work on a proper hinge. So start with your right foot forward and bring your left foot back like maybe 6 to 8 inches, not very far. As you bend your right knee, bend the knee and let your hip hinge back into space rather than the hip going forward. Okay. If you don't feel your glute firing or if you feel any pain in your low back when you hinge, let's just kind of work it a little bit more. You could grab your right glute and extend it a little higher to the sky to get that hip to hinge. And if you bend your knee too much, it may go into your back, so you can play with what variation of a bent knee that you have for this hinge. Now notice what's going on with the ribs. Pull your ribs back into space. Notice where your ribs are in relation to the hips, so you want them to have a nice kind of line rather than the ribs being in front of the pelvic bowl. Bring your hands to a prayer. And now get really light on your left toes, so light that all of a sudden you can pull your heel towards your sit bone and nothing moves. Good, tap your toe down. Tap your toe over towards the left. Bring the foot behind you. Let's go back into space and forward. You should feel nice and stable here. Begin to step the left leg all the way back. Squeeze your legs towards each other. Stay at an angle in this crescent lunge, just for today. Press the right foot down and pull back into space. Press your left thigh back, but internally rotate through your left thigh. So if the left hip is opening, try to close it a little more. Now, maybe bringing the hands to the hips and the ribs and just noticing where they're at in space. Rise up as a unit. You can stretch your arms out if you'd want and start to lift. Now for me, I'm really mobile in my rib cage. My rib cage loves to flare. A lot of people do, especially women more than men. But what can help with this is if you bring your arms slightly in front of your ears and just give it a try. Bring your arms forward. Notice how that feels. And then lift your arms up, up, up as high as you go. Are you compensating by jutting your ribs forward? So get curious about that. Find your breath. Take an inhalation. And as you exhale, airplane it. Bring your arms back, trunk forward. The ribs and pelvis move as a unit. Inhale and rise up. Exhale, airplane arms. One more like that. Inhale, reach up. Option to keep your arms up here. Start to find your 30-degree angle, belly over the thigh. Get really light on your back left toes and pull the left heel towards the sit bone. I'm going to bring my hands back to a prayer, but you could always have your arms extended out or behind you if you wanted. Tap your toes over towards the left, behind you, forward, right, kind of just exploring, and ground your foot, rise to stand, pause, breathe. Notice where the sensations arose in your body during that exercise. Transfer your weight over towards your left foot for a moment. Cross your right ankle over the left knee. Sink your hips low, figure 4. So right now we're stretching the glutes. That hip hinge exercise is built to target the glutes and that kind of back side. It could be your hamstring as well. And if that didn't happen for you, that's okay. Getting the glutes to fire is really challenging. Maybe just try either bending your knee more or less in your hinge. When we go into it, maybe grabbing the glute and getting it lengthened on the other side. All right, release. Wiggle it out if you need to. Second side, left leg is forward, right leg is back. So don't skip this part because it's really important for the proper hinge to get the glutes to activate. And as you noticed, actually just try it with a straight leg, hinge, send your butt back. You probably don't feel a ton of activation there. Now bend your left knee, and then as your knee bends, hinge your hip back into space. Keep that left knee bent. So students in my public classes love to either straighten the knee or not hinge. Try to keep both as a unit. Bring your hands to our prayer. Start to shift your weight over to that left foot and pull your right heel towards your bum. Find your breath. Tap around to the 4 corners of the mat. Forward, front, back, behind you. And eventually you make your way back to a nice crescent lunge. My crescent lunge tends to be a little shorter than maybe I would do in a typical yoga class where we're flowing because we want structure to support us. Keep pressing the left foot down and pulling it back into space. Squeeze your legs towards each other. And start to rise all the way up, rib cage just stacked over the pelvis. Let your pelvis be heavy. Keep lengthening up long through your spine, through the sides of your waist. The more you press your back thigh back into space, the more your hip may try to externally rotate, so keep internally rotating through that back right thigh. Take an inhalation. Exhale, airplane, bring the trunk forward, arms back. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, trunk forward, arms back. One more, inhale, lift up. Option to stay extended with your arms or bring the hands to a prayer. Find that setup for warrior 3. Bring the trunk forward. Get really light on your right toes, so just the big toes on the earth. Maybe glide your foot in closer to the left, and then pull your heel towards your sit bone. Check that you still have a nice bent knee and you're still hinging. Tap your toes towards the right, left, back, forward, and ground your foot, rise. Cross your ankle over your knee and sink your hips low, so a little figure 4. Left ankle over right knee. Breathe. Come back to your intention, your focus. The practice of yoga, at the root of yoga is yuj. It's like Y-U-J, and it means to unite or to connect, union. Press down and out through your standing leg, pull the left knee in, release. So how can we work to just connect to ourselves first in this practice? By breathing and by staying present, right? And then from there we can connect externally to the world around us. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up and high. And as you exhale, hinge at your hips. Have that nice long spine as you hinge. Bring your hands to the earth. Step back to a plank position and shift your hips up and back to a downward facing dog. In your down dog, make your feet about hip distance apart. Create a little bend in the knees. Send your thigh bones way up and high to the sky. Squeeze your outer shins in towards the midline. Keep sending the upper inner thighs higher. Lift your shoulders up and wrap your triceps down almost like you're trying to kind of like pinch a grape in your armpit. Inhale, start to come all the way forward to a plank and lower yourself down. Stretch your arms back by your hips. Inhale, rise up, Shalabhasana. Lifting through the arms and the legs. The chest, the head, flare through your toes. Inhale, get a little lift. Exhale, lower down like an inch. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower. One more, inhale, lift. Exhale, release all the way to the earth. Bring your hands by your chest. Press your way up through a tabletop or a plank. Send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Begin to walk your way all the way up to the front of the mat. Find a forward fold. Press into the earth. Inhale and halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, circle sweep, reach all the way up. Grab a block on your way up. I'm going to grab a different block. Actually, does anyone not have a block? I hope that you guys all have blocks. If you don't, you can still do the exercise and put something light on your hand to try to not drop it. Oh my gosh, you could totally do the exercise like with a book. I have books over here. I'm going to do it with a block actually because it's thicker so you guys will be able to see it. But you could definitely do it with a book. So bring the block into your right hand or the book. What's important with this exercise is that you're not holding your block. So you're just like, if it falls, it falls. Now, it's a very challenging exercise, so you could have like your pinky and your thumb as like little bumpers, but if you hold it, you'll kind of miss the point of the exercise, or at least the feedback of it. So, here we go. Find your hip distance stance. Evenly distribute your weight. Begin to pull your right elbow back into space, and then turn your elbow off towards the right. Send your block back into space so it skinnies through your side body. And I'll pivot just so you can see this. So your block's going to go back all the way up and around and eventually face forward. So this is where you might drop your block, and it's totally normal. It happens. I've taught this for the last couple weeks in my classes, and people drop their blocks. Let's see if I can take up a little more space. Elbow comes back, block comes in towards the side, and then you send your block back. The block is going to come all the way up and around and then facing forward. Let's just do one more in that direction. Elbow back, block in, elbow wide, block goes back. Bring your block all the way up. See, I almost dropped mine. All the way up and around. Okay, so then we'll take that in the opposite direction. Bringing your block forward, bring your block wide. Send your block, your fingers are forward, but the block is going back, and then elbow comes in and through. So I'll do that one more time, a little slower. Sending your block forward, the block goes to the right, and then the back. The fingertips are facing behind you. This is where it gets tricky. The elbow goes wide, the block goes all the way around, and you pull your block through. Last time like that, you can move faster if you would like. Really, all you're doing is internal and external rotation through your shoulders to help work on mobility in the shoulders. All right. Second side, keep that in your back pocket for when you need a little break from work. It's a really good way to create mobility without creating tension in your shoulders. All right, block is now in the left hand. Pull your elbow back. Bring the block wide, send the block back, and all the way up and around. And this is my easy side. So you'll notice one side is easier. I'm going to do less coaching on this side because you already know the rhythm. But you'll notice one side is likely easier than the other, and that is typically normal. All right, we're not as asymmetrical as we may think that we are. Take one more in the direction you're going, and then we rewind. So the block is forward. Send your block forward like you're serving a tray of fruit somewhere. Bring your arm way back. Send the block all the way around in a nice big circle. Rotating, noticing if it's a little crunchy. Bring the block all the way back and pull it through. So you're working it in reverse. Oh, I said it was my better side. Do I have any questions about this one? No? All right. We're all going to release that. If you're loving it, you can definitely do a few more rounds. But the invitation is to actually come down and come to a seat. I've decided I'm sitting on my phone block now. So if you have a block, it's a really nice seat to use. I actually have the block on the widest setting, and it's in between my heels. And so the point of that is to get a little bit more lift. And then if you decide to choose the seat that I'm taking in a Virasana, you can pull your thigh bones back. That's also able to do in Sukhasana, like crisscross applesauce. As you land in your seat, let your pelvis tilt slightly forward, like a moderate anterior tilt. Pull the base of your ribs back. Lengthen through the sides of your waist. Bring the tops of the ears back and the crown back into space. Find Hakini Mudra, so all 10 fingers are going to touch, just the fingertips, and rest on your lap. Come back to that big 3-dimensional breathing. Breathe more breath into the sides and into the back of your body. Internally call your intention out, bringing it to the forefront of your mind for why you're showing up on your mat to practice and to be today. Begin to release any breath you're holding in your lungs. HA. Inhale through your nose. Release through the mouth. HA. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold empty for 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold empty for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Pause at the top, observing that 3-dimensional expansion through your lungs. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Squeeze and push the breath out. Hold empty. Take a full breath in. And a full exhale out. Let go of any specific breathing pattern. And allow yourself to breathe naturally. observing where your mind is taking you, and gently guiding it back to where you're at right now. Begin to blink your eyes open. Shift your gaze around the space, bringing yourself back to the space. Inhale and circle sweep. Reach your arms all the way up and high. Reach up through those thumbs and your middle fingers. Remember this big lift as you take your day today, however you're doing it. Maybe you can give yourself a break or two and just reach for the sky as you stay heavy and connected to the earth. Bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. Bring it all the way down to heart center. Give a soft little bow, forehead to fingertips. Bowing to the wholeness inside of ourselves, to the dark and the light. Namaste.